Are you feeling just completely swamped sometimes? Like the demands just keep piling up, and there's this nagging voice, maybe internal, maybe external, telling you have to do more, be more, and oh yeah, that classic one, get out of your comfort zone.
Oh, absolutely. It's sort of a relentless drumbeat in our world today, isn't it?
It really is, this pressure to constantly push yourself, to live right on the edge of discomfort, all in the name of growth. It can just leave you feeling utterly exhausted, maybe even, burnt out.
It truly is pervasive. You see it everywhere. Motivational quotes, all over social media, in professional development seminars.
Yeah.
This underlying idea that any moment you spend feeling at ease is somehow a moment wasted.
Right, like you're only achieving something worthwhile when you're stretching your limits, maybe even to the breaking point.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It does. You start thinking, is that the only path? What if this place we're always told to abandon, our comfort zone, what if it's actually incredibly important? What if there's huge value, maybe even, dare I say, happiness in actually embracing it? Especially when you just desperately need a place to rest, recharge, and feel, well, safe.
That's precisely the counter-narrative we really need to explore today. Because the comfort zone, it's not some kind of psychological cage holding you back from life.
Yeah.
No, it's actually a fundamental, necessary part of our capacity for health, for resilience, for just functioning well.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive then. We're going to challenge that common wisdom. We'll unpack what comfort really means, explore why our comfort zones are not just acceptable, but actually essential for our health and psychological safety.
And we'll look at practical ways to cultivate these safe spaces, right, for effective rest and recharge. We've gathered some really useful insights on this.
Yeah, think of it as finding that crucial balance point, that sweet spot between embracing challenge when it's right and prioritizing restoration when you need it.
Because it's really not about giving up on growth at all. It's more about understanding that truly sustainable, meaningful growth, it actually requires a strong, safe, reliable base camp.
A base camp, I like that.
Yeah, something to launch from, but just as importantly, somewhere to return to.
Okay, let's really unpack this then, starting right at the beginning. What is comfort, fundamentally, and how does that lead us to this idea of a comfort zone?
Right. So at its most basic level, comfort is, well, it's defined as a state of physical or psychological ease. Simple as that.
Ease, okay.
It's characterized by the absence of hardship or pain or stress. So the opposite is discomfort, right? When you don't feel comfortable, maybe you're in physical pain or feeling emotional distress, mental fatigue, you're uncomfortable. They're direct opposite.
Okay, got it. Like the physical discomfort of a scratchy label in your shirt, that drives me crazy. Or the psychological discomfort of, say, public speaking, if that's not your thing.
Exactly. Perfect examples. Now, physical comfort often has fairly clear objective elements. Things like, temperature, pressure, texture. We can often agree on what feels physically comfortable or uncomfortable.
Sure.
But psychological comfort, that's where things get much more personal, much more subjective.
How so?
Well, it varies hugely from person to person because it's so deeply tied to our individual experiences, our memories. We often seek out psychological comfort by subconsciously or consciously trying to recreate experiences that are linked to pleasant past feelings.
So it's not just about how you feel right now, but it connects back to your personal history.
Precisely. That's why, wrapping yourself in that old, maybe slightly ragged blanket from childhood might feel way more comforting than a brand new, expensive, technically softer one.
Yeah, I have one of those.
Right. Or why the smell of, say, baking bread or cookies might instantly bring back feelings of warmth and safety. It's those familiar activities, specific objects, even certain tastes or smells, they have this power.
Power to do what, exactly?
Yeah. To bring about this sense of psychological ease, because they act like anchors. Anchors to positive past experiences. They help us kind of pull those good feelings into the present moment. And that creates a sense of predictability, of safety, right here, right now.
That makes a lot of sense. You see how that would be important in, like, healthcare settings or therapy?
Oh, incredibly important. It's not just about treating the physical symptom or the mental health issue itself. It's also about creating an environment where the person feels fundamentally safe and at ease. That feeling of safety can be absolutely critical for the healing process to even begin.
Okay, so that's comfort. What about the comfort zone itself? Is that just another term for feeling comfortable?
It's a bit more specific than that. The comfort zone is generally understood as a defined psychological state, one that's associated with perceived safety and familiarity.
Okay.
Think of it like your personal psychological neighborhood. where everything feels predictable, manageable, safe. Within this zone, you feel at ease, you feel secure, you feel generally in control. You experience relatively low levels of stress and anxiety because, crucially, you aren't required to do anything particularly new or difficult or scary. It's the space where you can operate almost automatically, efficiently, without needing significant mental effort.
It's like your personal easy mode.
Yeah, in a way. It's
Right.
where you default to competence and predictability. Now, what lies outside that zone?
Ah, right. The scary part.
Well, that's where you encounter novelty, uncertainty, challenges, yes. The potential for failure or discomfort or vulnerability. But, and this is key, it's also the territory where growth happens, where learning happens, where new skills are acquired.
And this is the place everyone seems obsessed with, right? The place you're supposed to be constantly heading towards.
That's the common narrative, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's called the learning zone or the growth zone. It's that area just beyond what feels comfortable and familiar, where you're stretching yourself, trying things you haven't done before, picking up new behaviors or knowledge. And here's something interesting. As you spend time in this learning zone and you start mastering those new skills, adapting to the novelty, your comfort zone actually expands.
It gets bigger.
Yeah. It expands to include this new territory. What was once outside, what felt uncomfortable, starts to feel comfortable and familiar, becomes part of your zone.
But there's a limit, right? You can't just leap miles outside it instantly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's definitely a limit to how far you can push at once. If you push yourself too far, too fast, you kind of overshoot the learning zone.
And end up where?
You end up in what's often called the panic zone. This is where the stress, the anxiety, it just becomes overwhelming. It can trigger intense fear, maybe paralysis, sometimes a complete shutdown.
Okay, that doesn't sound good. Or productive.
It's usually not. When you're in the panic zone, you're typically not learning effectively at all. You're
Yeah.
basically just trying to survive the experience. And more often than not, hitting the panic zone leads to a pretty hasty retreat right back into the safety of your comfort zone.
And maybe you're even more scared next time.
Sometimes, yeah. You might have gained very little or even developed a new fear around that particular challenge. So the key really is to gently step into the learning zone, not hurl yourself headfirst into the panic zone.
Okay, so we've got comfort, the comfort zone, the learning zone just outside it, and the panic zone way beyond that. Now let's tackle that core message from the sources that feels, I don't know, almost radical today. The critical importance of the comfort zone.
Right.
Because the dominant narrative makes it sound like it's just a place for, avoiding difficulty or being lazy. But the material we looked at really challenges that idea head on.
It does, and quite strongly. The central argument isn't just that comfort zones exist or that they're places you might visit occasionally. It's that they are fundamentally healthy. They are necessary for our sustained well-being, for our ability to function effectively in the long run.
Healthy. That feels like heresy in a world constantly yelling, get uncomfortable. Why is staying in your comfort zone sometimes healthy?
Because constantly pushing yourself out of it, without allowing for significant periods of return, of rest, of recovery, it's simply unsustainable. And it can be actively detrimental to your health.
How so?
Well, the sources directly link this relentless pushing to poor health outcomes, specifically mentioning things like increased risk of chronic stress, anxiety disorders, even depression.
Wow.
Think about it logically. If your body and mind are perpetually in a state of high alert, constantly facing novelty or perceived threat, they never get a chance to downregulate, to restore themselves.
You just wear yourself out.
Exactly. Ignoring those signs, the signs that you run down, mentally fatigued, overly stressed, and just telling yourself to push through, maybe telling yourself you're just being lazy or need discomfort to grow, that has very real physical and mental consequences over time.
So it's less like a prison keeping you trapped and more like, I don't know, a hospital room for healing. Or maybe a refueling station for a car.
Both are great analogies. Frame it as a healing zone or a safe base camp. When you start recognizing those signs of depletion in yourself, maybe you're constantly irritable, you can't focus, you've got physical tension like knots in your shoulders, or you just feel utterly overwhelmed by everything.
Yeah.
Giving yourself explicit, conscious permission to retreat into the safety and familiarity of your comfort zone, that isn't a sign of failure or weakness. Not at all.
It's self-care.
It's a profound act of self-awareness and self-preservation. It's recognizing, okay, I need to replenish my resources right now.
And this constant pressure to push, where does it really come from? Is it just us being hard on ourselves?
Well, some of it might be internal, but a huge part of it is external. It's amplified by our modern culture, for sure. There's this dominant, productivity-centered narrative.
The hustle culture.
Exactly. It glorifies constant self-improvement, visible achievement, always being on. And it often overlooks the complex societal factors that contribute to stress and burnout in the first place. It puts the entire burden of success or failure squarely on the individual's shoulders, on their willingness to perpetually strive and push boundaries.
The message is basically, if you're not grinding, if you're not doing something new and difficult all the time, you're somehow falling behind, or you're just not trying hard enough.
Precisely. And that naturally leads to that feeling of inadequacy we touched on earlier, like you're never quite enough if you're not constantly achieving or feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's exhausting just thinking about it.
It fuels this kind of chronic restlessness, doesn't it? A perpetual sense of discontent, even when objectively you might be doing perfectly fine. You feel guilty for resting.
Guilty for relaxing.
Right. You feel like you should always be optimizing something, always learning something new, always networking, always just more. There was that anecdote in the material about the consultant.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that again.
She had completely bought into this message. She constantly volunteered for every new, unfamiliar, challenging project that came across her desk. She forced herself to meet new people every single day, attend every single industry event, completely convinced this was the only path to professional growth and success.
Okay. I can see where this is going.
She did this day in, day out, totally ignoring her own energy levels, her emotional needs, until inevitably she just hit a wall. Complete exhaustion, mentally and physically drained. And in that moment of forced pause, she had this really stark realization. There was no prize waiting for her.
No prize?
No prize for having ignored her limits and personal boundaries for so long. Just burnout. That was the outcome.
Wow. That story, I think a lot of people can probably relate to that feeling. It's like we're trained to believe discomfort is the only valid state for making progress, and comfort is somehow the enemy.
But the material argues the exact opposite. Within your comfort zone, you can actually feel truly safe. You can lower your guard. You can just be authentically yourself without that constant pressure to perform or adapt or be on for everyone else.
It sounds like a place you can actually hear yourself think.
It is. It's a space where you can quiet down the external noise, quiet down that internal critic maybe, and truly focus on what genuinely works for you. You start to learn about your own energy patterns, your emotional needs, and crucially, what you actually need to recharge effectively.
And that self-knowledge builds confidence.
Yes, this foundation of safety, stability, and self-knowledge is what allows you to build genuine, resilient self-confidence. Confidence that doesn't solely depend on external validation or constantly conquering new territory, but on a stable, secure sense of self.
So the comfort zone isn't about avoiding challenges forever. It's about having a robust, secure home base.
Exactly.
The place you can launch from, and maybe more importantly, reliably return to when you need to restore yourself.
Think of it like that mountaineer again. They don't spend their entire expedition clinging to the summit, right?
No, of course not.
They establish base camps at different altitudes. They push towards the top, sure, but they must return to the base camp regularly to rest, refuel, acclimatize, check their gear, plan the next step. The base camp isn't the final goal. It's the absolutely essential prerequisite for successfully reaching the goal safely and sustainably.
That analogy really clicks. Okay, so let's dig a bit deeper into what comfort actually feels like or how it shows up in our lives. The material breaks down different dimensions of comfort, showing just how fundamental it is across various aspects of, well, being human.
Absolutely. And one incredibly primal, essential dimension is what's called contact comfort.
Contact comfort. I've heard of this. It's about touch, isn't it?
Exactly. It's that profound sense of satisfaction, safety, and ease that we derive from physical touch. The warmth of a hug, the feeling of being held securely, even just the simple, reassuring presence of another person's hand on your arm.
It feels fundamental.
It's considered absolutely essential, particularly in early development. The material referenced those classic, albeit controversial now, studies describing experiments with infant monkeys.
Right, the wire mother and the cloth mother.
That's the one. They were given two surrogate mothers. One made of cold wire but providing food, and the other covered in soft terry cloth but providing no food. And the striking finding, the one that really shifted thinking, was that the infants overwhelmingly preferred the cloth mother. They spent most of their time clinging to her soft surface, only going to the wire mother briefly when they needed nourishment.
So comfort over food, essentially.
It powerfully demonstrated that tactile comfort, that warmth, that sense of affection, was crucial for their psychological well-being and for forming attachments. separate from and perhaps even more immediately necessary than just getting sustenance.
And what happens if that contact comfort is missing, especially early on?
Well, the studies observed significant developmental issues in the monkeys, deprived of this contact comfort. They showed behaviors like increased anxiety, difficulties with social interaction, even aggression later in life. It really underscores just how deeply wired our need for safe, comforting touch is. It's not just pleasant, it's foundational for healthy development and, frankly, remains important throughout our entire lives.
Okay, so touch is huge. What about comfort food? That's another universally understood one.
Ah, yes, comfort food. Those specific foods or dishes that just reliably produce feelings of psychological well-being, maybe emotional relief, or just that warm sense of nostalgic happiness.
And they're almost always tied to our past, right?
Almost always. Directly linked to our personal eating history, early life experiences, often family meals, childhood memories, or significant positive events.
Like the soup your mom made when you were sick or the specific cake you always had for birthdays.
Precisely. They become infused with positive emotional associations. The material mentions some common examples that pop up across many cultures, things like chocolate, often linked to rewards or celebrations, and those warm, carb-heavy dishes like pasta, pizza, casseroles, or soup.
Makes sense. They feel grounding.
They do. And what's quite interesting is the research highlighted showing that common preferences can actually differ somewhat by age and gender.
Oh, really? How so?
For example, younger individuals and females often tend to gravitate towards snack-related comfort foods. Things like chips, ice cream, cookies, candy. Whereas older individuals and males, on the other hand, tend to prefer more meal-related comfort foods. Think steak, burgers, casseroles, a hearty bowl of soup.
Huh. That is fascinating. I'd never really thought about that difference.
And importantly, the material really emphasizes that the choice of comfort food is typically driven by these past positive experiences and the emotional associations they carry. It's not solely about current physical hunger or nutritional needs.
It's about the feeling it brings back.
Exactly. It's about the feeling the food evokes, the memory it triggers, the sense of safety or connection it represents.
Okay, so we've got contact comfort and comfort food, both very fundamental. What about the physical environment around us? That must be a huge source of comfort or discomfort.
Oh, absolutely. Huge. This falls under the umbrella of physical and environmental comforts, and there are several key aspects to consider. A primary one is thermal comfort.
Thermal comfort, meaning temperature.
Basically, yes. It's your level of satisfaction with the surrounding thermal conditions, the air temperature, humidity, airflow, even radiant heat from surfaces.
Is there like an ideal temperature range that feels comfortable for most people?
Well, it does vary a bit based on things like what you're wearing and how active you are, but scientists have identified a concept called thermal neutrality.
Thermal neutrality.
Yeah, it's the temperature range where your body's natural metabolic heat production is perfectly balanced by the heat it loses to the environment, so you don't feel actively hot or cold. For most sedentary people in typical indoor clothing, that sweet spot is around 24 degrees C, which is about 75 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
Interestingly, though, the average temperature people report feeling most comfortable is often a bit higher, closer to 30 degrees C or 86 degrees Fahrenheit. That's likely due to factors beyond just air temp, like humidity and the temperature of surrounding surfaces.
And we know what feels uncomfortable, right? Too hot or too cold?
Generally, yeah. Temperatures above 35 degrees C, that's 95 degrees Celsius, or below 12 degrees Celsius, about 54 degrees Celsius, are usually considered uncomfortable by most people, especially if they're not dressed appropriately for it.
And you see this constantly in how we design buildings, how we manage our indoor spaces.
Exactly. Heated floors to combat cold drafts near the ground, ventilation systems, air conditioning to control both heat and humidity, ceiling fans to create airflow. All these technologies are fundamentally aimed at achieving thermal comfort for occupants.
Okay, what about clothing? That's another major daily factor in comfort, isn't it? It's about way more than just covering up.
Oh, definitely. Clothing comfort is really complex. It's this intricate interaction between the garment itself, your body, and the environment you're in. It addresses how what we wear meets various comfort needs beyond just basic protection.
Like how it looks.
That's part of it, yeah. There's the aesthetic dimension, the style, color, fit, which contributes to our psychological and social comfort, how we feel about ourselves, how we think others see us. But then there's thermophysiological comfort, which is critical for physical ease.
Thermophysiological.
Yeah.
That sounds like managing body temperature and sweat.
Precisely. It's all about the clothing material's ability to help your body maintain its optimal thermal balance and moisture balance with the surrounding environment.
So does it let sweat evaporate? Does it trap air for warmth?
Exactly those things. The type of fiber used makes a huge difference. Natural fibers like cotton or wool often breathe and handle moisture very differently than synthetic fibers like polyester or nylon. Choosing the right material for your activity level and the climate is absolutely key to thermophysiological comfort. It prevents you from feeling clammy or too hot or too cold.
Yeah, avoiding that damp, sticky, miserable feeling when sweat can't evaporate. That's huge for comfort.
That's directly linked to what's called moisture comfort, basically. Avoiding the sensation of wetness or dampness on your skin because the fabric isn't transporting moisture away effectively.
Okay. And then there's how it feels on the skin.
Right, tactile comfort. That's all about how the fabric feels directly against your skin. Is it smooth, soft, and pleasant, like maybe silk or a brushed fleece? Or is it rough, stiff, or scratchy, like some coarse wools or certain synthetic blends? This sensation is very individual, too. What feels scratchy to one person might be fine for another.
And finally, pressure comfort. What's that about?
This relates to the sensory response your body has to the physical pressure of the clothing on you. It's influenced by the fit. Is it tight, loose, just right? Also the garment structure and the stretchiness of the material.
Like how jeans with stretch feel different from rigid denim.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A fabric with lycra or elastane might feel more comfortable because it moves with you and distributes pressure more gently compared to something really stiff or constricting. So snugness, looseness, the weight of the fabric, its stiffness, all these contribute to this sense of pressure comfort.
It's actually incredible how many layers of comfort are involved just in getting dressed in the morning. Who knew?
It truly is when you break it down. And beyond touch, food, temperature, and clothing, the material also briefly touched on other important environmental comforts, like visual comfort.
Visual comfort, like lighting.
Primarily, yes.
Yeah.
Your satisfaction with the visual environment. It's about having sufficient and appropriate lighting for whatever task you're doing, but also about avoiding things like glare or excessive brightness or dimness, all of which can cause eye strain and discomfort.
Yeah, trying to work under harsh fluorescent lights all day, or straining your eyes in a dimly lit room, not comfortable.
Exactly. And similarly, acoustic comfort means that the noise levels in your environment are acceptable. Not so loud that they're harmful or distracting, or that they interfere with your ability to communicate or concentrate.
And respiratory comfort, air quality.
Precisely. The quality of the air you're breathing, whether indoors or outdoors. Is it free from pollutants, allergens, or irritants that could cause discomfort or pose health risks? Indoor air quality, or IAQ, is a big focus there.
So it's really clear that comfort is this complex, multi-layered experience. It touches on physical sensations, emotional states, our memories, our surroundings. Recognizing how fundamental all these aspects are really helps us appreciate why having places where we can reliably achieve these states of ease is so important.
Which brings us perfectly to the next logical step, the idea of actively building your personal safe space. This seems like a really practical, tangible way to ensure you have that necessary retreat for the effective recharge we were talking about earlier.
It sounds like creating a sanctuary for yourself.
That's exactly the idea behind it. A safe space is envisioned as a sanctuary. It can be a specific physical place, or it could be purely mental, a refuge within your own mind. But the key is that it's a place where you feel free from external judgment, free from pressure, free from threat.
And it's essential for well-being.
Considered absolutely essential, yes, for mental and emotional well-being. It provides a reliable source of solace, of security, and it's a dedicated place to recharge your batteries when you feel depleted.
Okay, so how do you actually go about creating a physical safe space? If someone listening wants to do this, where do they even start?
The material offered some very concrete, actionable steps. First step, choose a specific place.
Location, location, location.
Yeah. It could be an entire room in your home if you have the space.
Okay.
Or just a particular corner of a room. Or even just a favorite, really comfortable chair that feels uniquely yours. The key is that you consciously designate this spot as your personal sanctuary.
So claim your space. What's next?
Ensuring privacy is really crucial. It needs to be a place where you can reasonably minimize interruptions and distractions from other people, pets, or just the general bustle of the outside world.
Okay. Privacy, then comfort.
Then definitely prioritize physical comfort within that space. This means things like cozy furniture, soft cushions, maybe some plush blankets you love, basically. Anything that makes your body feel physically at ease and relaxed when you're there.
Surrounding yourself with physical softness and ease. Makes sense.
Exactly. And personalization is also vital. You want it to feel like your sanctuary, right?
Sure.
So fill the space with meaningful items, maybe photographs that make you happy, artwork you love, small objects that resonate with you or evoke positive memories, things that simply make you smile. These personal anchors help ground you and really enhance that feeling of safety.
Create a calming atmosphere, too.
Yes, create a sense of tranquility through managing the environment, perhaps using soft, calming lighting, maybe lamps instead of harsh overheads, choosing soothing colors for any decor in that area, and maybe incorporating calming scents like lavender, eucalyptus, or chamomile through things like diffusers or candles, if you enjoy that.
Making it a multisensory experience designed specifically for calm.
Precisely. Also, ensure it's accessible. Make it easy for you to actually retreat to this space whenever you feel the need. Don't make it hard to get to.
Good point. What about other people?
Ah, yes. Importantly, consider setting some clear boundaries with others in your household or in your life about your time in this space. Communicate gently but firmly that this is your designated time and place for well-being, and ask for their understanding and respect for your solitude during those times.
That can be tricky, but necessary. I particularly like the suggestion about making it a tech-free zone during your relaxation time there.
Oh, highly recommended. Really try to disconnect from screens, phones, tablets, laptops. Turn off notifications. Avoid emails, social media. This allows your mind to truly switch off from those constant external demands and anxieties. It lets you be fully present in the moment, dedicated to your own restoration.
Maybe even create a little ritual around it.
That can be really helpful too. Developing a simple ritual can signal to your mind and body that you are entering this special, safe space. Maybe it's lighting a specific candle, or putting on a particular calming playlist you only use here, or just taking 3 slow, deep breaths as you settle into your chair. This little ritual helps you transition into that state of relaxation more easily.
Okay, so a physical sanctuary is one crucial part. What about creating a mental safe space? How do you build that inner refuge the material talked about?
This is just as vital, maybe even more so in some ways, because it's always available to you. You carry it with you, even when you can't physically get to your special chair or room. You build this internal refuge to provide immediate resilience and solace in challenging situations, no matter where you happen to be.
How do you actually do that? It sounds like a really powerful technique.
One core technique is visualization. This involves consciously, vividly imagining a serene and calming place within your mind.
Like a happy place.
Exactly. It could be a real place you love, maybe a quiet beach you've visited, a peaceful forest clearing, a cozy cabin by a lake, or it could be an entirely imaginary scene that feels good to you. When you feel overwhelmed, stressed, or anxious, you can close your eyes for a moment and mentally transport yourself there.
And really focus on the detail.
Yes, focus on the sights, the sounds, the smells, the textures, and especially focus on the feelings associated with being in that peaceful place. It offers a powerful temporary escape hatch from immediate external stressors.
Like a mini mental vacation, available on demand.
Exactly like that. Another powerful tool for building this mental safe space is using positive self-talk and affirmations.
Telling yourself good things.
Essentially, yes. Develop some empowering phrases or short sentences that you can repeat silently or aloud to yourself. Things that counter negative thoughts, self-doubt, or anxiety. Simple phrases like, I am capable, or I am safe in this moment, I can handle this, or even just, this feeling will pass.
Okay.
Journaling is also highly recommended as a way to create mental space. Setting aside even just a few minutes to write freely about your thoughts and feelings, without any self-censorship or judgment. It helps you process emotions, gain perspective, release pent-up stress. It creates a sense of mental clarity and safety just by getting it out of your head and onto paper.
And self-compassion is a big part of this too, right? Treating yourself kindly.
Absolutely essential. Building a mental safe space involves treating yourself with the same kindness, understanding, and patience that you would naturally offer to a dear friend who is struggling.
Which we often forget to do for ourselves.
We really do. It means accepting your imperfections, acknowledging your difficulties without harsh self-criticism, and recognizing that experiencing stress or discomfort is just part of being human. Doesn't mean you're failing.
And finally, emotional regulation.
Finally, practicing emotional regulation is key. This involves learning to identify your emotional triggers, what situations or thoughts tend to set you off. understanding the patterns of your reactions, and practicing emotional intelligence, developing skills to respond to challenging situations more skillfully, so you can maintain that inner sense of calm and safety rather than feeling completely overwhelmed by intense emotions every time.
It really sounds like building these outer and inner safe spaces isn't just about finding comfort in the moment. It seems fundamentally about building a strong foundation of resilience and self-trust for the long haul.
They are deeply interconnected, absolutely. Cultivating both your physical sanctuary and your mental refuge provides you with reliable resources. Resources to manage stress more effectively, to recover from challenges more quickly, and to build genuine, sustainable self-confidence.
And this foundation prepares you to face the world.
It prepares you to engage with the world and its inevitable difficulties from a place of relative strength and security, rather than constantly operating from a place of depletion and vulnerability.
Okay. Speaking of managing stress and navigating difficulties, the material we looked at spends a good amount of time on practical techniques for relaxation and recharge. And it feels like in our culture, stress isn't just common. For a lot of people, it's become the default setting.
That's a really critical observation. Stress is so pervasive in modern life, isn't it? From work pressures, constant connectivity, global events. For many people, a baseline state of tension just becomes the normal feeling.
You might not even notice it anymore.
Exactly. People may not even consciously realize how stressed they are until they start experiencing clear physical symptoms, maybe chronic muscle tension, headaches, digestive issues, or mental symptoms like persistent irritability, fatigue, difficulty concentrating, or just feeling constantly on edge.
So just recognizing that you are stressed is the crucial first step before you can even begin to relax.
Precisely. Awareness is absolutely fundamental. Recognizing the specific signs of stress in your own body and mind is necessary before you can take intentional steps to counteract it. And this is very important. The material emphasizes that relaxation is highly personal.
Meaning what works for one person won't necessarily work for another.
Exactly. There is no single right method or technique that works universally for everyone. What one person finds deeply relaxing, say, meditation, another might find boring or even stressful if their mind races.
So it really is about experimentation, finding what resonates with your particular body and mind.
Exactly. It requires some self-discovery. The examples provided in the material range really widely, from simple things like taking a walk in nature or engaging in physical exercise you enjoy, to consciously just resting on a beach or by a lake, listening to calming music, or pursuing a creative hobby that absorbs you.
It's about finding your personal off switch.
In a sense, yes. And the core scientific understanding here is that powerful mind-body connection. When you induce physical relaxation, it tends to calm the mind. And conversely, calming your thoughts can lead to physical relaxation. They influence each other directly and continuously.
Okay, let's delve into some of the specific, more structured techniques described in the material, like progressive muscle relaxation. What's that about?
Right, PMR. This is a well-established technique. It's based on a simple principle. By intentionally tensing specific muscle groups in your body for a few seconds, and then completely releasing that tension, you become much more aware of the difference between tension and relaxation. And this process helps you induce a deeper state of overall physical ease.
How does it work in practice?
You typically start by finding a comfortable position, maybe sitting with your feet flat on the floor or lying down if that's better for you. Then you systematically move through different muscle groups in your body. For each group, you tense the muscles strongly, but without straining, hold that tension for maybe 5 to 10 seconds, really noticing the sensation, and then you release it completely.
Could you give an example, say with your hands?
Sure. You'd start with one hand, maybe stretch your fingers out wide and simultaneously make a tight fist. Feel the tension build in your palm, your fingers, maybe up into your forearm. Hold it there for 5-10 seconds, really paying attention to that feeling of tightness. Then as you exhale, completely release all the tension. Let your hand go limp and heavy, maybe in your lap or by your side. And then just spend a few moments noticing the feeling of relaxation flowing into that hand before you move to the other hand and repeat the process.
And then you just move up the body systematically. Arms, shoulders.
Yes, typically you'd move sequentially. To the arms, maybe biceps and triceps. Then shoulders, this is a big one for many people. Neck, face, chest, abdomen, back, and finally down through the legs and feet.
Shoulders and neck. Yeah, they hold so much tension for so many of us. How do you do those?
For shoulders, instead of hunching them up towards your ears, which can actually create more strain, you might try gently pulling them down away from your ears. Feel the tension maybe in your upper back and neck area. Hold that, and then let them relax back to their natural neutral position. For the neck, depending on your posture, if you look down a lot at screens, maybe gently tilting your head back to feel stretch in the front of your neck, holding and releasing. If you tend to look up, maybe tilting forward gently. Always gentle with the neck.
And the face must be important too. We clench our jaws, furrow our brows without even realizing it.
Absolutely. Facial muscles contract almost involuntarily with stress and emotions. So to relax them, you might try tightening all your facial muscles at once. Squeeze your eyes shut tight, wrinkle your nose, tighten your jaw, purse your lips like you're biting into something incredibly sour or making a funny face. Feel all that tension, hold it for a few seconds, and then just let all the muscles completely relax. Let your face go slack.
What about people with contacts or dentures?
Ah, good point. The material mentioned an adaptation. If tensing is uncomfortable due to contacts or dentures, you can simply focus on the release part. Just consciously let all the facial muscles go free, maybe allowing your jaw to drop slightly, letting your chin dangle, releasing any tension you might be holding around your mouth or eyes without the initial tensing phase.
That really sounds like it would release a lot of that unconscious tension we carry around.
It could be incredibly effective, especially with practice. Another really fundamental technique involves focusing on your breathing exercises. As the material noted, when you're tense, your breathing tends to become rapid, shallow, and often held high up in the chest.
Right. Short, quick breaths.
Yeah. So relaxation involves consciously shifting that pattern, moving towards slower, more orderly, and often deeper breathing, originating more from the diaphragm or belly.
Though the material said forcing deep breaths isn't always the best approach.
That's an important nuance, correct. While take a deep breath is common advice, simply forcing a huge deep breath isn't always the key, and can sometimes even increase anxiety for some people. The focus, as the material highlights, should be more on making the breath slow, rhythmic, and orderly.
Just paying attention helps.
Sometimes, yes. Simply paying attention to your natural breath, maybe listening to the subtle sound of it entering and leaving your body, can help regulate it and induce a sense of calm. But there are also specific techniques. One described involves using your breath to actively release worries.
How does that work?
You start by taking a slow, easy breath in through your nose, allowing the air to fill your abdomen, feeling your stomach gently rise. You hold that breath for just a few seconds, maybe consciously thinking for a moment about a specific stressor or worry from the past. Then, as you exhale slowly and completely, perhaps through your mouth, you visualize that past stress leaving your body with the breath.
Okay.
Then you repeat the process for a second breath. This time, as you inhale and hold, you focus on a present worry or concern, and again, release it completely as you exhale. On the third breath, you focus on any future anxieties or fears you might be holding and release those with the exhale.
So you're using each breath cycle to consciously address and release worries from different time frames, past, present, future.
Exactly. It creates this powerful connection between the physical act of breathing and a conscious mental process of letting go. It trains your mind and body to associate the exhale with release and relief.
Okay, so we have physical relaxation like PMR and breathing techniques. What about when your mind is just racing with thoughts? That's where mental exercises come in.
Yes, because while physical relaxation often helps calm the mind, sometimes that mental chatter or those disturbing thoughts can persist. One very simple technique described is just trying to mentally hit the pause or stop button, like on a video player, when a disturbing thought arises. You acknowledge it's there, and then you consciously try to interrupt its repetitive loop.
I just try to stop thinking it. That seems really hard.
It definitely takes practice, like any mental skill. It's not about forcefully suppressing the thought, but gently redirecting your attention away from its loop. Alongside that, you can actively use visualization, as we discussed, for the mental safe space.
Going back to that peaceful place in your mind.
Exactly. Visualizing that place you love, that feels completely safe and free from trouble or pain. Immersing yourself in the details, the sights, sounds, smells, textures, and really focusing on the feelings you experience, being there. Peace, safety, calm, joy.
And bringing those feelings back.
That's the crucial part, as the material noted. Practice slowly bringing yourself back to the present moment from your visualization, but intentionally trying to carry those positive feelings with you. Being able to recall and access those feelings of calm and safety, even briefly, when you're actually in a tense situation, can be a really powerful tool for self-regulation.
It really does sound like a truly portable form of a safe space, always available.
It is. The material also mentioned a more challenging sort of advanced technique.
Oh, What's that?
It involves practicing physical relaxation while intentionally bringing to mind a specific disturbing or triggering situation or thought. So you get your body deeply relaxed first, using PMR or breathing. Then you consciously bring the stressful thought to mind for a moment. You notice any tension that arises in your body in response, and you immediately return your focus to releasing that tension, relaxing again.
So you alternate. Stressful thought, then relax the reaction.
Yes, you repeat this back and forth. Bring the thought, notice the tension, consciously relax the tension, bring the thought again, relax again. The goal is, over time and with repetition, to be able to think about the disturbing situation without triggering that automatic physical or mental stress response, to maintain a state of relative calm alongside the thought.
Wow, that sounds like it could be really helpful for dealing with specific anxieties or maybe even past traumas, but clearly something that needs careful practice, maybe even guidance.
Absolutely. It's definitely more advanced and probably best approached cautiously, perhaps with professional support, depending on the nature of the thought. But the key message that cuts across all these relaxation techniques, PMR, breathing, mental exercises, is the absolute importance of regular, consistent practice.
You can't just pull them out of a hat on the day of a big exam and expect them to work magically.
Exactly. You wouldn't expect to run a marathon without training, right? It's the same with relaxation skills. You can't just wait until you're completely overwhelmed or facing a high-stakes situation to try them for the first time. Making relaxation even just 5 or 10 minutes, a small, consistent part of your daily or weekly routine, is what builds that baseline level of calmness and self-awareness.
So it becomes a skill you have readily available.
It equips you with the skills, the muscle memory almost, to handle stressful moments much more effectively when they inevitably arise. The material also made a good point linking this to sleep. Chronic tension often messes with sleep quality. Learning to relax consciously can really improve your ability to fall asleep more easily and get more restorative rest.
So relaxation isn't just some passive indulgence. It's really an active skill set you need to cultivate and integrate into your life for overall resilience and well-being.
Precisely. It builds that essential base, that foundation of safety, security, and self-knowledge that we discussed earlier as being so crucial.
Which brings us right back around to the comfort zone debate. If we're emphasizing that the comfort zone is healthy, it's necessary for recharge, it's our base camp. How does that square with the widely accepted idea that growth only happens outside it? Isn't that a contradiction?
It might seem like one at first glance, but no, not really. This is where we need to sort of reframe the whole concept. The material strongly argues against this simplistic all-or-nothing view where you're either stagnating comfortably in your zone or you're constantly leaping into the terrifying unknown outside it.
There's a middle ground.
There is. And the core idea is that staying within your comfort zone or intentionally returning to it for rest and recovery doesn't automatically mean you're staying still or ceasing to grow. The really powerful idea presented was this. It's not necessarily about jumping out of your comfort zone forever. It's about widening your comfort zone so far that your goal eventually fits comfortably inside.
Widening your comfort zone. I really like that framing. It feels much less intimidating, much less like you have to abandon safety than escaping it.
Doesn't it? It shifts the whole perspective. It's not about leaving something safe behind. It's about expanding your own territory of safety and competence. And the material actually provides a practical method for taking action from within your comfort zone to gradually, sustainably expand it outwards.
Okay, how does that work?
The approach is pretty simple in concept, but it does require patience. You take one tiny, manageable step just outside the current boundary of your comfort zone. This step should feel slightly uncomfortable, maybe a little awkward or uncertain, but crucially, not terrifying or overwhelming.
Aiming for the edge of the learning zone, not the panic zone.
Exactly. You experience that mild discomfort, you learn whatever lesson is there, and then this is key. You consciously return to the safety and familiarity of your comfort zone to process what happened, integrate the learning, and regain your sense of equilibrium.
So it's like dipping your toe in the water to test the temperature, then pulling it back to adjust.
That's a perfect analogy. You get comfortable being just a little bit uncomfortable. And here's the magic the material describes. Each time you successfully take that small step outside, experience the mild discomfort, learn from it, and return to process. That little bit of formerly uncomfortable territory starts to feel less threatening. It becomes integrated into your comfortable zone.
Your boundary actually moves outwards.
Exactly.
Yep.
Your boundary expands just slightly to include it. And each mastered step makes the next small step outside feel slightly easier, slightly less intimidating. It's this iterative process. Take tiny, manageable steps, consolidate your comfort, take another tiny step that gradually and sustainably multiplies your comfortable territory over time.
So those big, scary, seemingly impossible goals, they don't require one massive, anxiety-inducing leap into the absolute unknown after all.
Absolutely not. That often just leads to hitting the panic zone and retreating anyway. The materials suggest a much more practical framework for tackling those intimidating goals.
How do you break them down?
You start with that big, scary objective, the one that feels completely out of reach from where you are right now. Then you break it down into smaller, intermediate goals, chunks that feel less terrifying, more digestible. And then this is the crucial part. You break those intermediate goals down even further into tiny, actionable steps. Steps that feel manageable, maybe even steps that do fit comfortably within your current comfort zone, or just that tiny, slightly uncomfortable step beyond the edge.
And you begin by taking those smallest, most manageable steps first.
That is the absolute key. You start with what feels comfortable, or only mildly uncomfortable. Remember that dartboard analogy mentioned?
Right, the bullseye is the comfort zone.
Your current comfort zone is the bullseye. The learning zone is the first ring just outside the bullseye, and the panic zone is further out. The method isn't to just wildly throw darts hoping to hit the outer rings. It's to aim for the bullseye. Then take a small, deliberate step to just touch the very inner edge of that first ring. You practice hitting that spot until it feels familiar, until it feels like part of the bullseye.
And then that first ring becomes part of your expanded comfort zone.
Exactly. And now the next ring out becomes your new achievable learning zone.
Yeah.
And you just repeat the process, expanding outwards gradually.
Like the running example you mentioned earlier in the material, if your big, audacious goal is to run a 50K ultra marathon, which sounds completely insane if you're currently, say, a non-runner.
Right. From the starting point of non-runner, a 50K is way, way out in the panic zone. Feels impossible.
Yeah.
But you apply this framework. An intermediate goal might be just completing a half marathon, still a big challenge, but maybe feels less terrifying than 50K.
Okay.
Then you break that half marathon goal down into steps that feel manageable from your non-runner starting point. What fits in or near your comfort zone now? Maybe just walking for 30 minutes consistently every day. Then maybe alternating walking and running for very short periods every other day. Then aiming to comfortably run a 5K race without stopping.
So those initial steps, walking 30 minutes, maybe running a single mile, finishing a 5K, they're much less intimidating. They probably fit within or are just that tiny step outside your current comfortable zone of physical activity.
Precisely. So you start there, you comfortably walk regularly. Then you comfortably learn to run that short distance, maybe a mile or two. You make that comfortable. You finish that 5K.
And then once running a 5K feels easy, maybe even enjoyable, and definitely comfortable.
Then that distance becomes part of your expanded comfort zone for running. And then you can take the next small step outside that new boundary, perhaps extending your longest run gradually to 4 miles, then 5 miles, maybe aiming for a 10K race next.
You just repeat the process, incrementally increasing the distance or maybe the intensity, but always giving yourself time to adapt, to integrate the new challenge, make it feel familiar and comfortable again before pushing just that little bit further.
Exactly. And by repeating these small steps, consolidating each gain, building confidence along the way, before you know it, maybe you've comfortably completed that half marathon, and then eventually that once impossible 50K ultra marathon. It might still feel like a stretch, but it might actually seem achievable. It might even end up fitting comfortably inside your vastly expanded comfort zone for long-distance running.
It's a completely different approach. It's about building momentum and competence sustainably, using your comfort zone as the stable platform for expansion, rather than seeing it as something you must constantly flee from in terror.
That's the core idea. This truly reframes the entire discussion around comfort zones, doesn't it? They're not the obstacles to growth. They are the essential foundation you build upon and the vital place you must return to for recovery during the process of growth.
Yes, it feels much more humane and probably more effective in the long run.
Precisely. And when you really integrate this, understand the importance of comfort for rest, for recharge, and for enabling this kind of sustainable expansion, it leads directly to the ultimate outcome discussed in the material. Achieving sustainable well-being and gaining the capacity to live a life truly driven by your own values rather than just chasing external pressures.
How does embracing the comfort zone lead to living by your own values? What's the connection there?
Well, by giving yourself permission to return to your comfort zone, to utilize your physical and mental safe spaces, you allow for that essential rest and recharge. This directly prevents the kind of debilitating burnout that is so often fueled by that constant external pressure to hustle, achieve, always appear busy and productive.
So you have more energy, more clarity.
Yes. And that foundation of safety and stability, whether it's the physical comfort of your home, the emotional security of your relationships, or the psychological predictability of your comfort zone, isn't a luxury. It's actually a prerequisite. You need to feel reasonably secure, rested, and stable before you can effectively venture out to face challenges, learn new things, or navigate difficult or uncertain situations with clarity and resilience.
So comfort isn't the opposite of growth. It's actually the necessary support system for sustainable, healthy growth. It fuels it.
Exactly. It's the pit stop that allows the race car to finish the race. And furthermore, operating from within those comfortable zones or returning to them regularly to consolidate your learning and confidence where your anxiety levels are naturally lower helps build genuine self-confidence. It's not just confidence built precariously on the latest external achievement, but a deeper confidence rooted in having a strong, stable, secure sense of self and knowing you have a safe place to retreat and regroup when needed.
And having that stable base, that inner security, allows you to then focus on what genuinely matters to you, not just what society expects.
Yes, that's the crucial link. With that foundation of safety, stability, and the increased self-awareness that comes from honoring your need for rest, you are much better equipped to identify and pursue goals that are truly value-driven for you.
Like what kind of goals?
Things like prioritizing your physical or mental health, nurturing your relationships with family and friends, pursuing personal fulfillment through hobbies, creativity, or learning just for the joy of it. Or maybe contributing to your community in ways that feel meaningful to you. It allows you to shift away from solely chasing external validation, the next promotion, the bigger house, the social media likes, or trying desperately to live up to someone else's definition of enough.
It shifts the focus from external achievement metrics to building internal resilience and living a life that feels aligned with what you actually care about deep down.
Ultimately, that is the profound shift this perspective offers. The material reiterates this key point again and again. Rest and recovery are not stagnation. They are not signs of weakness or laziness. They are essential prerequisites for sustainable growth, for navigating life's inevitable challenges effectively, and for truly becoming your most resilient, grounded, and authentic self.
A self that is clear on what truly matters.
And has the energy, the stability, and the confidence to actually pursue it.
This has been such an incredibly insightful deep dive. It really provides a powerful and, frankly, much-needed challenge to that ubiquitous, always get out of your comfort zone mantra that we hear constantly.
It really highlights the critical importance of recognizing, honoring, and actively cultivating our very real, very human need for ease, safety, and recovery. It's not a bug, it's a feature.
So if we were to bring it all together, the big takeaway seems crystal clear. Your comfort zone is not some track you must constantly try to escape. Not at all. Instead, it is a vital, healthy, necessary resource.
It is your essential home base, your base camp for rest, for recharge, for building self-awareness, and for establishing that strong foundation of safety and security. It's the place where you naturally reduce stress, where you consolidate learning and integrate experiences, and where you prepare yourself effectively for future challenges, whatever they may be.
The key lesson, then, from this journey through the material seems to be finding that dynamic, intelligent balance. It's about knowing when it's healthy and beneficial for you to venture out gently into the learning zone for growth, for new experiences, for challenges.
Yes, that outward movement is important.
But it is absolutely critically essential to also know when and how, and frankly, to have the courage and self-compassion to return to your comfort zone and your personal safe spaces, to heal, to rebuild your energy, and to recharge.
Both movements, the venturing out into mild discomfort and the intentional restorative rest and comfort, they are not opposing forces fighting against each other. They are crucial, interconnected, and equally valuable parts of a truly fulfilling, healthy, and sustainable life.
That leaves me with a really compelling question to leave you, the listener, with today. Something to perhaps mull over. What one small step could you take today, not necessarily out of your comfort zone into something scary, but perhaps a step within your existing comfort zone to make it an even more intentional, more peaceful, and more powerful place of restoration for yourself?